do whatever you want. This is your time. This is
Cool.
our time.
Cool. So you were saying like everything's been going well for ages since we did the work, but then you're just waiting for like it all to go back to how it was before. What you're experiencing now is imposter syndrome.
Oh wow.
And that's what happens with when my clients tend to work with me. They work with me, and then the work, you know, is great. They're doing really well, and then they're like, "Whoa, not used to this. When's the disaster gonna hit?" Or and yeah, and you need to correct that, because otherwise you will cause those disasters to hit, because your brain's looking for it. It's not our brain's job to make us successful. It's our brain's job to keep us safe, and the safety and familiarity. You know, that's why people that have been held hostage, you know, for years want to go back and be held hostage, or people that have been in prison feel safer in prison, because that is familiar territory. It didn't get us killed. So our brain's like, let's go back there. This is a bit scary. I don't know what's happening here.
Right.
So,
Much is can be scarier than the whole process of breaking out. And the beautiful thing is, like, I definitely feel incredible, but there is that little imposter somewhere floating around, like, oh, like, where's it coming from? You know. But
we'll sort that out. Don't worry. I'll get rid of that. So anyway, that's a good way to start. So when did I see you? It was like the first time was in LA, wasn't it? Was it like 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Yeah.
2
So
years ago.
what was happening for you that kind of motivated you to want to see me?
Well, at the time, you know, my mom had just passed away. I had a lot of trauma that I've been working really hard for myself, you know, in terms of like meditating and doing the reading. And, you know, I never had any formal therapy before, or, you know, just like I did all the psychedelic stuff. Everywhere you could go that was alternative, I did all of that. And I got to a place I definitely felt strong and fortified, but there were certain programs that I was running that I couldn't break myself out of, and I didn't have the science in any way to do it myself. And Joel, love Joel, love him, a baby. Joel suggested it. And at first, I was, you know, I felt a little like, I don't know if I want somebody poking around my subconscious, doing all that. I'm like, no, I don't know. But, you know, after meeting with Joel at first, you know, such a beautiful, like, I mean, just the way it happened was so beautiful and divine, and it felt right. Like, it touched me in the ways that I needed to feel, you know, okay with stepping forward into it. And I didn't realize the things that I needed, because remember, we had a whole conversation about, you know, kind of what was going on in my life. And you had pointed out some things that I didn't even realize were aspects of myself I needed to call in, which was like courage. I didn't realize I had I didn't realize I had a lack of it, you know? But you helping call that in, and you know, there were other points that we touched on, but the one that rings the most, it was the courage thing, because that's what I feel has really taken root and grown over the last few years. And it's really helped me moving into space and having the courage to, you know, step up for myself or express my authentic emotions and feelings and expectations behind things. And it's absolutely changed my reality in so many ways.
So I think you don't realize how something like that can have an effect on your work, on your relationship. It has an effect on absolutely everything, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So we had a session in LA, and you felt, how did you feel about that and afterward that then?
Well, first, can I just say a little bit of like kind of what went down in it that made me?
Yeah, sure.
You were walking me down some steps, and I don't know at what point where you got to inside of me, but I just remember tears just streaming off my. It wasn't like I was sad or anything. It was just like it just felt like this faucet turned on, and there
Yeah.
were just tears streaming out of my face, and I carry that with me because one, I know that, you know, just on the level of just what tears represent and all of that, I wasn't sure if maybe like you broke through something and then I don't know what it was, but the tear moment, like anybody that I tell about you and the work that we've done together, like that's the moment that like, maybe you could explain a little bit of that to me. Cause I don't think we've ever talked about it, but I'm
It's
sure people do that.
it's content free, so obviously in that session we didn't you don't tell me what emotions you're going through. Afterwards I'll ask because I'm nosy
Right,
and I want to
right,
know. But I don't need to know, and you could have told me lies about it, but
right.
the way I work is content free, and it comes from your subconscious mind. You going into it, you don't know, because it was the emotional clearance session, you don't know what you're clearing, you don't
Yeah.
know what you're going into. And
Wow.
it kind of comes with a warning, that session, because I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, you know,
Mm,
I'm a therapist, I'm trained, but some people react like not so bothered, but they have massive like changes afterwards. Some people, I've seen people like physically shaking during the session and going bright red, like the skin just going red and all sorts.
mm.
Sometimes it looks like an exorcism.
That's what was that an exercise?
It can be heavy, but I basically just ask the part of you that needs to be cleared. We have a goal for the session, so whether you're clearing guilt, anger, upset, or a block that's sabotaging your success, whatever it is, we want it to come out. Some people know exactly what it is, or some people are kind of blindsided. I think that's kind of the worst one, is when you're blindsided by what it is and you're like, whoa, wasn't expecting that, and it's a big emotion. And sometimes you can have like an emotional hangover for a day or two afterwards. So yeah,
Yes.
but it
I think
works.
that lasted a few months. And it wasn't, thing is, I wouldn't call it a hangover as much as it was just it felt like a gloss.
Right.
Yeah. For me.
Right. Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
but
Everybody's experience is different, though, really different.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But it was really great. And then we had a second session
Mm, yeah.
that we
So what
did.
happened after the first session then? What changed for you?
The first thing was it allowed me to look at a lot of situations that I was creating narratives around that helped me be adaptive to those
Mm-hmm.
situations. Because just naturally, I'm a very adaptive person. So I can walk into certain situations and kind of fill it out and be like, okay, this is the way I need to, posit
Mm-hmm.
myself in this in order for it to be a successful
Mm-hmm.
or a peaceful, but more than anything, a peaceful
Mm-hmm.
experience. And
Yeah.
I didn't realize how many situations I was keeping peaceful that needed to be removed or needed to because so
Mm-hmm.
many of the situations were draining me,
Mm-hmm.
some were like, um, affirming really old narratives that I no longer,
Mm-hmm.
subscribe to. So after the first session, the first thing that started happening, a lot of friendships and business relationships that I had
Mm-hmm.
started falling away. Ones that like a management that I was working with for a very long time, I ended up letting them go, and it was always very hard for me. Like I know I
Mm.
was in that situation probably 2 years longer than
You should have
I
been.
should have been, and it was just because I didn't know how to muster up the courage to step forward into that situation and say, hey, like this is not working for me, and
Mm-hmm.
let the fall where they may, that was
Yeah.
something I was very afraid of. So that's the first thing that happened, was like a huge clearing of um, old relationships, and then also garnering new relationships was something that also afraid, I didn't realize, but was afraid of like deepening and fostering,
Yeah.
because I'd already done the work of maintaining these old tattered relationships. So I'm
Yeah.
like, so you mean I got to work on some new ones? Like,
Yeah.
so I actually started fortifying newer relationships and giving energy to situations that before I felt like maybe unworthy of. And what I noticed, with at least looking back on it, because I've been in it, so looking back on it, I can say my environment changed
Yeah.
dramatically.
Yeah. It's, I think you need to do that clearing out. I'm putting this course together of this kind of stuff, and it is the first part is out with the old and then in with the new, because you do
Right,
have to get rid of lots of stuff to make way for all the new stuff. And I think you've taken the template of the past, and that's what you'd put it on your future, but then we just remove that template, ready for you to set a new template.
right. And the funny thing is I can still feel parts of me that want to reach for those old templates and put them on things, but then it's beautiful to at least have the awareness to know when I'm doing it, and be able to say, okay, I'm doing that. Let me take a second, or at least think before I send this message, or think before I reach back out, or
Yeah.
you know, because all of those things, it's an obvious choice. I can feel now the direction that it's going in. It's like,
Yeah.
it starts feeling uncomfortable. I start feeling like I'm shrinking, and there's like, so many different aspects of it that that I'm aware of now.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's weird that your brain just wants to go back there, but it no longer serves you. So, but that's being self-aware. So that is the first part of a coaching process, is being self-aware, and the second part is self-regulation, of being aware of when you're doing it and then regulating your behavior.
right, right,
So,
right.
but
And I'm
yeah,
realizing. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. So then we had another session, but that was a Zoom session, the second one.
hmm So the Zoom session was the second one, and in that situation, I was like, at that point in my life, I was very comfortable in the uncertainty of it. You know, it was kind of like, I was like, I understand that there was a lot of things going on, that nothing was sure at that time. There
Yeah.
was a lot of reality in the air, a lot of opportunities, but nothing was really like, locking in. And I forget what was the topic we went in on that one, because that one was really deep. I remember that one too. That one was the one. Can I say?
Say whatever you want. Yeah.
Okay. That was the one where you brought me into this house that
Yeah.
had these books.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Now,
library.
yes, the stories. I think it was something to do
Yeah.
with like the story.
Chapters. Yeah. Chapters of your life.
Yes, 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 yes. So there were points in my life that I always recalled. Um, really traumatic experiences that I felt I had made it through, but and thought that like those trigger points for me were like gone for the most part, just because time had passed, and like I had rehearsed the narrative so much in my mind and looked at it from so many different angles, that I felt it was non-reactive. However, it was still more baggage. It was still a lot. I was still carrying around all those books, and part of me identifying with them so much that it didn't fully allow me to see who I've become,
Yeah.
because I was consistently in a point of almost like oscillating between reflection and presence, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
but not really able to like see myself, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the beauty of what we did together was because the exercise was like putting the books away, you know,
Mm.
and then taking the cover off of
Cover
them,
off.
and
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
you know,
Writing the new message. Yeah.
and it's so crazy because like I forget the one, there was one book that I took off, and I think I wrote forget you're forgiven or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I wrote on it, and it was intense because I didn't realize how much, you know, guilt I was holding on
Mm-hmm.
to circumstances that I had in my life, and I didn't realize how much I didn't trust myself because of those things, you know.
Mm. Yeah.
So it was powerful.
Yeah,
Power,
it is. It's crazy powerful, the things that happen, and as well the things that you think you've dealt with, and you know, the buried in the past, and you don't realize how they affect your everyday living.
yes, and they affect so much, and now that I'm aware of that, I'm a lot more conscious of how I step into situations and what I allow myself to take away from those situations,
Mm-hmm.
because I realize as soon as something happens, whatever the experience is, once we walk away from it, there's many ways we can approach that walking away. Like sometimes we walk away and we start telling the story like, oh well, this person was da 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 da. I didn't show up the way I should have showed up, and I could have done this, and I should have said that, and da 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 da. You
Mm.
know, like just that. It's literally time traveling, but it's not the beautiful version of it. It's just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so it's like, you know, being able to let moments be what they are, you know, like
Yeah.
I'm trying to be more conscious of doing that, you know. Granted, I'm human, and sometimes it's, you know, sometimes I do step into those like I should have done this and da da da, you know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
I don't,
Yeah.
not nearly as long as I used to let myself ruminate on things like that.
Yeah, yeah. Because that's, I think we tend to get stuck on things, and then we haven't got that energy to do the positive things that gets us the results, and we
Yeah.
tend to procrastinate or avoid situations.
Yes, avoidance, procrastination is a huge one because um, then I have like a great tool of reasoning myself into like those things, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah,
letting those things be okay. Like, oh yeah, I worked so hard, so yeah, no, I'm not gonna go and run right now.
yeah.
Like, I deserve, and yeah, I do. But at the same time, like, you know, there's certain
Mhm.
things you want for yourself, and why aren't you, you know, giving yourself those things, you know?
Yeah,
And these are the questions I've been having recently, you know?
yeah,
These
yeah.
are more recent. Like, why are you not allowing yourself to have these things that you
So
say
you
you
feel
want?
like you're ready for the next level now.
Yes, yeah, for the next notch.
So what has changed then? So things changed on emotional level. Did anything success wise happen in your life? Did
Absolutely, absolutely. So I got a gold record on
Woohoo.
did with Sean. It's up to like 45 million plays on Spotify. It's been in an Apple commercial, all kinds of like just crazy stuff. That's just one situation. And
Cool.
then I ended up working with, well, I just started doing creative for one of my favorite artists. Like I've been watching him for years, and you know, we built a friendship after the Courage thing.
Cool.
And, and just the courage to step up into a new friendship with somebody that sees me and that I see them very clearly, and like, you know, we're able to dissipate a lot of those spells that we're under in terms of like, you know, certain narratives, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
part of me, the reason why I kept certain friends around before was because it was comfortable and it felt safe. And in this situation, it's more about responsibility and accountability.
Yeah.
So we approached that first on a friendship level, and then he reached out to me to help him on the creative direction side. And it's like, okay, you know, like to the
Yeah.
things. It would be like years ago, I would have never made that move, you know?
Yeah.
I would have never said, hey, like, I would love to work with you in some capacity, no pressure, but, you know, I would have just kept it to myself and just been like, well, that's my friend. I never want to cross that boundary, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the best thing for both of us, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, and then there's so much more, though. there's a lot. There's a lot of stuff has happened. Yeah. So basically, I'll tell you this. I'm at a place now where I know in my heart that I could literally work with anybody I want to, anyone
Right.
I want to. I know that. I
Cool.
know that. So there's this feeling of understanding the service that I provide and
Mm-hmm.
understanding worth and understanding that the blessing of what you gave me, right?
Mm.
Um, unlock those things inside of me. The crazy thing is like on the music side of things, as far as like having to develop artists and doing different things like that, you know, so much of music is unlocking people and connecting them to their voices, you
Yeah.
know, and help have the confidence to stand behind it and hear themselves and
Mm.
you know be able to stand behind their voice,
Yeah.
you know. So I didn't want to be um, one of those creatives or developers that stepped into a situation and didn't and wasn't integrated
Yeah.
enough to bring myself into it with a full vulnerability,
Mm-hmm.
because you know I could step in and operate, you know, with with like tweezers from a very far
Yeah.
distance,
Keep them away. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
them away, but but it to me
It's
that
not
leaves
authentic.
so it's not authentic at all. So the beauty is now like I step into a space fully myself, you know,
Mm.
and I don't bar off anything when I know that what we're doing is trying to get to the heart of something, right? So
Yeah.
then that allows people to do the same thing. And so it's just, and now the word is getting around and it's just the opportunities keep coming and it's getting better. It's
Cool.
getting better and better.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would you say to anyone else thinking about trying this?
Do it. Do it.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, for me, you know, I believe therapy is one of the most powerful things any human being can experience if they have the opportunity to, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, for years I didn't think it was something that was for me, you know, as far as the, you know, any traditional sense or whatever. But it's definitely been huge strides, just huge.
I think you'd be really disappointed if you went to see a therapist because that's not really what therapists do.
Yeah, yeah, no, they don't.
It's I think my mix is like eclectic from, you know, coaching, therapy,
Yeah.
hypnosis. I like mix NLP, neuro linguistic programming,
Mm,
neuroscience and everything together so that I really make people move.
mm.
So not all therapists do that. So it's a bit different from just normal therapy.
So I got lucky.
You
I
got
got
lucky.
lucky. No, because yeah, I would have been highly disappointed if it wasn't that.
Yeah, because I
This is
think most therapists just like let you talk, you know, talking therapy.
not too much anyway.
Yeah,
I'm
we needed to do a bit of digging and
not,
unearthing of that stuff that you've got that was it was already in you. I didn't give you anything. If anything, I
right,
probably just took stuff away.
right, right, and that's what it is too. I actually one of the things my friend told me, and we had like a conversation about this. I want to say like maybe like 3 4 months ago because it's been ringing around in my head. But
Hmm.
he's like, you're doing that thing I do. You're emotional hoarding.
Mm. Yeah.
And I was, oh, whoa, whoa, can hoard emotions. Wow,
Yeah.
okay. And
You don't deal with them, you just bury them and you know, it becomes who you are. This like knotted mess of twisted
ooh,
up it can become bitterness, anger, resentment, all sorts. Mm-hmm. Need to,
that human complacency.
yeah.
You know? I could be in a box with a toaster and no no plug to plug it into, and reason myself into being comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there is comfort in failure and all sorts, but it's if you want to go to that next level, there's some uncomfortable situations that you need to put yourself in, and you need to make those friendships that are a little bit challenging.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. All my funny thing I realize is all my friendships now, the ones that I keep coming back to, for that matter, are challenging. All
Mm,
of them,
yeah.
because they're not just, oh, let's do something fun and just go laugh. You know what I mean? It's that too. Like
Yeah.
it's that all the other stuff is happening.
Yeah.
And for me, that feels so. I mean, that feels right. At least
You've
for
got to
right
keep
now.
up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. Cool. Well, thank you for that. Fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you. You're such a blessing. Such a blessing. You
Thank
know,
you.
so I've, had this experience, and to be able to continue to work with you is, I mean,